Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Realtors. I'm David Blair. He's Trevin Perez. Trevin, how's it going?
It is going. Let's go. I was about to put the wrong finger up. So yeah, I'm excited. 31 episodes in, man. Who would have thought we would have been working together so well so long?
31, or about to be 31 arguments later on when we finish this and we get ready
Yeah.
to edit it. Yeah. But 30 arguments that haven't ended friend and fellowship. So yeah, good things. What's going on? What's going on in real estate for you right now? Anything exciting this week?
I'll tell you, this week, well, last week would have been great because I was on fire. This week started with me losing a buyer on one of my listings. So, that wasn't too pretty, but I got a much needed price reduction. And at the very least, closed on Monday and still have two listings that have passed the crucial inspection contingency. So I'm like, thank goodness. So it's been a battle cry every week, man. How about yourself?
Going good. Three closed this past month. Got some new listings, probably about three or four that we'll bring into the market. I know we're working with the same customer. You're going to bring one on in your area. I've got two here. So things are good. Things are good. Kind of fun, interesting thing today. I don't know if you have this problem or not, and it's just I don't know if it's a pet peeve of mine. It's kind of funny sometimes, and sometimes it's not. Is that when you get an agent that goes to the property and they can't access the garage code and or the door code. It always seems like it's a challenge for some agents in our industry to access a four-digit code to get into the garage or get into the door. And it's especially aggravating if it's a property that you literally just left an hour before then and put that same code in, and you've got an agent that's calling out and saying, I can't get in. I don't know, is the code right? You're like, yes, it worked a little while ago,
Yeah.
and now there's that fear. They're like, I guess we'll have to see it later. You're like, no, no, let's figure this out. Let's walk through this. You're maybe you've got a momentary lapse in judgment. You're putting in the wrong numbers. I said 1269. Can you enter that again and make sure that you've got the numbers correct? So
Right.
she was able to get into the property eventually. I was right. That was the code. So, but just one of those funny little things that could affect, business. Because if you think about it, it seems like a small thing, but how many times has that happened, to us on maybe the other side, or you can't get access to a property, you can't see it, and just that little thing can change the trajectory of whether that buyer sees that property, ultimately buys it. I mean, it's a small thing that can turn into a big thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And these buyers see so many properties and they start mixing up the details and what they like. You got, if it's two people involved, they are disagreeing on what they like best. They're trying to sell each other, right? So, you have a case of let's make a deal, and it's like we're going back and forth, and now you're convincing me about something that I thought I liked, and that's where we have to go back to the house and see it again. But oh
Sure.
well, the agent can't get into the combo lockbox or the Sentry code box or the garage door opener, and technology just drags it on and on and on, and then their schedule is crazy. They got to
Yeah.
go back to work or what have you. So yeah, yeah, it's a whole bag of fun nuts.
So it's a good segue into one of the topics we're going to talk about today, and that is, are realtors becoming obsolete
Hmm.
in our current market with tools like AI, Zillow, the Redford platform that we both use, the cash offer platforms that are still out there. Open Door is still in the market. OfferPad, a little bit smaller than what it was when we left. I think that's what crippled that company is we left, and they
Yes.
they haven't attained the same heights as they once did. So. But so what are your thoughts on that? I'll give you my take. But so are realtors becoming obsolete, you think, in the current market?
No, I think that at this stage in technology where we are with AI, as great as it can be and will be today, it doesn't replace our jobs. We're still gainfully employed. I think that the tools out there, as great as the tools are, like when they came out with Zillow or OfferPad or Open Door, I mean, it's a season. It's a season for these tools when they become just these amazing tool sets. And right now, we're in the season of AI. But you look at the news, they say that AI is going to replace everything, everyone. And in our case, it can't open doors to properties. It can't deal with the nuances of issues with door codes, or even just coordinating the schedule for approved appointments, dealing with owner occupied or tenant occupied. Okay, maybe you could write a contract. Maybe
But
that's
it
the amazing thing it can do. It can fill in fields on a PDF contract.
But it
But
can. It can actually. So Open Door uses that. Where you don't even need an agent with you. You can go up and you can enter the code and get into that property. You schedule it online. They'll send you a code to your phone via text. You go in there. You put that code in. It unlocks the door. You see the property yourself. So let's play devil's advocate here. I'm Mr. Buyer. You're my agent. Trevin, all I need you to do is open the door. I don't need you to tell me where the living room's at and the primary bedroom and the kitchen. I can figure all that out myself. So to
well,
that you
David,
say,
I mean, David, that sounds great. You can do that, but what about, knowing the facts on what's permitted or when's the last AC cleaning or how old is the AC, the water heater, the roof, plumbing, electrical? How do you figure that out, David?
disclosure statement. Just send me the disclosure statement. I can read through it. I mean, I can see, when the house was built, when the roof was put on. I can do all those things.
So, say if the disclosure statement, though, doesn't say anything about age of those critical items because they don't want to disclose its original.
Then they're being dishonest. And for that, I'm going to offer 50,000 less than whatever the house is listed at.
And that's where it
Is
goes.
that
Okay, then, David, okay, if you do that, then who's going to write the contract up for you?
I've got a friend of mine that just got. He's a notary, and he's pretty good. He can get it done for me. He can notarize it, and we can send it over to like a title company or something like that. Whoever does closings, we'll send it to them, and they can figure all that out for us. But I'll
No,
save money. I don't have to pay any money to do that. So I don't have an agent that represents me because I'm representing myself because I have all of this knowledge that's at my disposal.
nice, nice. Okay. So I guess, David, then anything on the contract you don't understand, you just Google it or AI it.
Exactly. Exactly. If it's on, I don't know if you heard this or not. Someone told me recently, if it's on the internet, it's 100% true. So
Oh,
any anything that I type in, whether it's to Chat GPT or to Google, and comes back, it's got to be factual. I think
nice.
so.
Okay.
That seems like
That's
a
like
real
the
thing.
that's like the battle that goes on Reddit. Anything on Reddit, you just have to believe they're the resource for all things truth or truth social, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, we're obviously being tongue in cheek, sarcastic with this here, but I think the reason that topic is kind of interesting is because our company, for example, Redfin, we use a algorithm to price properties. I don't think that takes the place of an actual market analysis to where you're taking a look and doing a deep dive in comparisons of property, not just the surface, square footage, year built, things like that. You're looking at, maybe it's an area you live in. The area you live in again is
Where I live is
your
Orlando,
city,
Orlando, Florida.
but the your no no your home residence. That's the neighborhood. The
Oh,
name is.
oh, Avalon Park.
Yeah, so you would know firsthand about properties that are in Avalon Park. You know what the amenities are, you know what's close by. You probably maybe have a street within the neighborhood that maybe those homes sell for more than any other street because of this or something like that. There's always that type thing, I think, in real estate, and those are the details that are missed by some of the algorithms that are out there. I mean, I love our system. But it can be challenging. You and I have discussed the fact that when you go to Redfin, you can click on a button instantly and then go and see that property. without really any information. You haven't had a conversation yet, in some cases with the agent yet, which I think is pretty important in that buyer process. So uh, for me, as much technology is out there, I feel that we as agents probably just need to embrace it and use it to help serve our customers better. But I really don't see us going anywhere. And that's not just, in my opinion, that's not just wishful thinking of saying, it's not going to affect my job. I think it's really going to affect our jobs, but on the positive side, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I think that we're using the tools available now to enhance our communication with clients, trying to be more empathetic with circumstances that affect our clients, coming up with guides and resources and tools that would give more marketing support to why they should work with us, right? So I think it creates a nice storyboard, from the beginning of the process through the end of the process to really enhance the relationship. So, and I think that that's also probably beneficial because there's not a lot of other industries who go out their way to develop such a bond with you, right? You go to the car dealership to buy a car, it's a transactional relationship. They're going to try to connect with you, but it's so limitless and short. It's just brief. Whereas, for us, it could take months to buy a home, and we have the opportunity to try to have a lifelong relationship by staying in touch with them using these tools that AI is affording us the opportunity to embrace. So no, I love where it's going, and but the real point though, I think to this question, I don't think all realtors are going to be obsolete. Some will be.
Yeah, yeah.
Some, those who can embrace technology, some who are part-time, some
Mhm.
who look at this business and maybe just do 5 deals a year or just
Mhm.
one deal a year, right? I think that those people are going to be dramatically affected by the changes in technology.
Yeah. And I think that, what I see sometimes is sometimes you have customers that your job as an agent, and as we kind of evolve in different markets and there's new technology, and there's light years of technology from I think when we both started to what there is today, what's available to us. We talked about, you and I talked about a couple of weeks ago with ChatGPT, to where you can actually go in and have it analyze a particular property for you. Maybe you got a home on the market that's not selling, within the time period that the seller is hoping for. You can go in, put in reports in there, and have it give you back, really good information on, okay, well, this is what's going on. This is what you're competing with. This is where you're priced at. And these are maybe some adjustments that you might want to look at, to get the property sold quicker. And you can get that in the snap. I mean, it's, just a couple of minutes you can get that information back. Whereas that used to take quite a long time for us to go in there and do that. But you do have to have the knowledge base, I feel, to be able to go in and to be able to decipher that information. I've said the same thing for years in my career, is that I can watch videos and I can read a book on brain surgery. It doesn't mean I can do it. I'm not versed in that. So a lot of times it's being a professional like we are, and being able to serve your clients and decipher that information. And then, so let me get your take on this. So the personal side, I think, is really what ultimately is going to keep, I don't want to say a traditional agent, because obviously you're going to have to evolve, but there's still this. There's still face to face. There's contact. There's communication between, the agent like yourself and the buyer and or seller, and that other agent that you're communicating with. At some point, we handle a lot of deals via email, via text, but at some point you got to pick up the phone and have an actual conversation and see how someone's feeling. What are your thoughts on that part of it?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that it's face-to-face contact that really matters the most in this business, and that's where we we can't you can't ever make this an obsolete experience because there's just too many human elements to this process. Um,
Yeah.
the inspectors, you always have to have a physical inspector do the inspection, right? Unless you're going to have a robot do it.
Hmm.
And then even with the appraisal, you could do a desktop appraisal to
Hmm.
avoid a traditional appraisal, but they still will order a BPO, a broker price opinion, and have someone like a realtor go out there and fill that form out. So
Right.
it's like you still have people involved in the entire process of the transaction, and quite frankly, you know, to dumb it down even further, like your biggest investment you want to do on your own, it's like if I have a nice car, do I really want to do my own transmission fluid change? Or, maybe you rotate your tires or change a tire or two, but is that really your best use skill put to work? Your dollar per hour best asset time spent doing that kind of labor? Like, no, you have a lawyer that represents you in a court of law because you're going to jail. Like, you could study it in jail, but what got you in jail is you didn't have a good lawyer. Like, I don't know. It's just a strange thought to me. Or even taxes. I think like the DIY of our generation, everyone wants to be a DIY.
Hmm.
Taxes. Okay, you could use TurboTax, but do you always get the most return you should get? Is it the best scenario for you after 10 years and you're not getting audited? Like, it
Yeah.
just behooves me that like people analyze the real estate market and our industry so bad. And I think the part of it is TV, right?
Hmm.
HGTV, the Netflix shows, glamorizing these agents.
Hmm.
That's I feel like that's the source of this problem.
Yeah. So speaking, you mentioned like the do-it-yourself menu type thing, that we're looking at with a lot of sites now. So do you think there's a depersonalization of real estate in the current market? Is that what we're going towards?
I think so, right? I think everybody wants to do the research online, right? They don't want to talk to us right away. They
Yeah.
want to, do their analysis first and then judge us to determine if we can add value to their process and
Yeah. It's a
maybe
good point.
include us. So we,
Yeah.
we find ourselves giving away a lot of free insight before they
Mhm.
even trust us and want to embrace getting to know us.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that a lot, but I mean, so I showed a property this past week where the property was in terrible condition. It's a waterfront home, and it was purchased about 3 years ago. Looked to be in really good condition. I pulled up the MLS report from 3 years ago. Looked to be in great condition when they bought it. Um, the property just really was not taken care of over the last 3 years of ownership. A lot of uh, just a lot of disrepair throughout the home, a lot of contents that were actually still there. Seller was really not doing themselves any kind of true service by leaving the property in that condition and then just assuming, well, it's going to go up in value because it's a waterfront home. My contention with the buyer, I told asked me, so what was your opinion? I said, well, waterfront property obviously goes up in value. They're not making any more of it. I said, but at the same time, I think it probably went up in value on that end, and it came back down. I said from the disrepair and the fact that they just didn't keep the property up. Damaged stairs. I mean, damaged walls. Just damaged flooring. Just a lot of things that were wrong with the property itself. And so there's I think value in that when you're able to have those conversations with buyers who don't see as many properties as we do on a given week. We see 30 plus homes, in a given week. It's not uncommon to see that kind of number. So we see a lot that's out there, and I think have we're both really active agents, so you've got a good pulse on what the market is, and when a property's in good condition and when it's not. Obviously inspections, you're going to have those things done, but just the
Right.
ability to be able to look at that and share that information with the customer has a value to it. And I think if you're you know we've both probably seen both sides of that with customers. Some customers, I think, look at that and realize that there is a value to that, and then some are a little, I'd go as far as to say maybe a little arrogant in that, well, I've got all this information, I see it on the MLS, I've got this disclosure statement or whatever the case is, so I can decipher that for myself. But I'm always gonna take the side of have an intelligent, professional agent on your side, and you're gonna come out better off.
No, I would agree. I got to give you an example of what happened with that deal that died off this week. The buyer knew I was a listing agent, so the buyer understood the range in which the property can afford to be purchased for. He knew it was overpriced. We
Mm,
both knew. But he looked at the condition of the home, made some assessments. He asked for my advice. I suggested a couple of things to him. I mean, the repairs that what the home needed really did amount to something over 10 grand.
mm,
And I was like, well, as long as you could justify it with repairs, I think that, we could convince the seller. It wasn't an outside conversation that I could not have with her about the
mm,
condition of the home.
mm,
And so we got it under contract. Well, then he got his dad involved, and his inspector is a family friend, and they really just tore the house apart and almost started, trying to almost inflate the number more than what it was. This was the
mm,
lowest priced home in the zip code in the city. It would it He will not find something to replace this. And so
mm,
then for inspection repairs, he's asking
mm,
for another 20 to 30 grand.
mm.
It wasn't a a flip or a ghost house or anything like that. I mean, it was in great shape, but
No,
not worth $40,000 off the list price. So of course
no.
the deal fell apart, and of course it was a byproduct of just misguided information on reading the market by all parties involved. So that's just a perfect example to your point, though, that um, you got to listen to your expert, listen to the advisor you have on your team. We're not going to steer you wrong. Of course, you want it for free, but you're not going to get it for free.
Yeah, and the meanwhile, Dad, stay out of the way. I get it that you have the best of intentions, but you coming in trying to be the hero for your kid and being able to walk away and say I either saved them 10 or 20,000 or something is usually not the case. Usually what ends up happening in those deals, and you can probably attest to this, more times than not, that deal falls completely apart and your kid may have not been able to purchase a property that it could have been a really good value for them, given, just letting the professional negotiate on your behalf. There are obviously other problems, properties that have problems that I'm not saying anyone should go ahead and just move forward and not take the advice of a friend or relative, but I think some of that's on us. You do have to, if you're gonna work with an agent, you do need to let that agent do their job, and that can be an encumbrance. I mean, it really can. And when someone that is, you know, not willing to stay in their lane, so to speak, and wants to give their opinion is, and I can get that from a standpoint of, I've got older kids, you know, if if I say something, they may look at that and say, well, he's my dad, he's got my best interest at heart, he's gonna look out for me. Trevin, I don't know Trevin that well. I've just known Trevin for a couple of months now. We started looking at houses, and now he wants me to make this big investment, but my dad says that Trevin's crazy, so I shouldn't do that. It's that kind of mentality that we're up against, I guess.
Right.
So it's
Well,
go ahead.
and with that said, you have to ask yourself the question: in this market, in this political climate, in the world we're in 2025, is home ownership still an American dream, or just a debt-ridden ball and chain? What? How as agents in the field, this is our bread and butter, but given 6% and a quarter interest rates, how do we see the world heading into more home ownership as the American dream?
Well, I think if you look at it from the standpoint of, now, it's easy to say when you purchased a property several years ago because we probably both paid way below what the current market is right now. So I don't want to sound arrogant when I say that, because it's easy for me to say, having purchased that. at today's prices, I would probably have sticker shock as well at what some of the prices are right now, because I see that a lot when I have first time home buyers that say, okay, well, this is my budget, but this is my budget and this is what I want.
Right.
And they're always like that to a certain extent, but no greater time than in the current market than we're in right now, I think, in that there's a huge disconnect regarding maybe what you can rent. Maybe you can rent a property, for less than that, and a lot of that gets tied to the interest rate, what it is, and that's why I think we've seen a slowdown in the last couple of years, obviously in the market, because you can't buy as much, and maybe it makes more sense for some to go ahead and rent a property, that I can just simply, if the AC breaks or something like that, I could call and say, hey, you know, send somebody out to fix your AC unit, kind of thing. But we both know, and I'll let you kind of give a little short list. We both know the huge advantages of actually owning a property, and you know not just what you're paying each month, but what it does for you as far as liquidity and things like that. You've got your property and investments. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's always a good time to buy, even though there's sticker shock and interest rates are high. I mean, let's face it. So, yeah, I play in the rental space. To me, the current 6% interest rate is not something abnormal. I mean, for investment properties, we're in the 7, 8, 9% range.
Mhm.
I have friends who are in over 10% range for an investment property. If the numbers can be if the numbers can eke out a profit, then it doesn't really matter what the interest rate is. Oh, that's my sleeping alarm. You know, I got to go to bed. We got a running joke
Normally,
because
normally Trevin sets that alarm, and that lets me know, when I need to stop talking. So,
yes,
I don't
I
know if
have
that's
that
going to be a
alarm
long.
on. I have that alarm on remote. I'm like, okay, okay, stop. All right, stop. All right. How about now? And the batteries don't work. I got like 4 or 5 remotes for you, you
Yeah.
know. But
But no, like
but
you were saying, yeah, you were saying.
yeah. So yeah, the high interest rates are not really an issue especially if it's something you're going to live in and enjoy for what it's worth, right? Just
Yeah.
like the proverbial phrase, driving until the wheels fall off, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
get your money's worth out of that investment, and 5 years you blink and you got some improvements in equity. I mean, but of course, you also have to make it physical improvements. Like I have clients who I'm talking to who bought a rehabbed home just like 3 4 years ago, and her interest rate was over 6%, but she's done nothing to the house. So it's like you also got to do some improvements to it. So it's almost like one of those scenarios where you go to the gym. You can't just put half 50% effort in the gym. You got to go 100%. You got to eat right, right? You can't just say you're lifting heavy, you're doing lots of cardio, but you're putting junk in the machine. You got to do all parts of it correct so that you can get the end results of a positive profit. Now, yeah, owning a home sucks. I mean, I have a rental where this is the first month of the lease. It's been 7 months and they paid me late. You know, with 2/3 of the rent. I'm just like, oh my God, like please.
Mhm.
They don't want an eviction, so I'm just like, well, why are you late? So I mean that's tough. That's tough,
Sure.
and no amount of equity in selling the home is worth the hassle and experience and pain that I'm
Mhm.
feeling now because I have to cover that rent.
Well,
So
you also though, I think, I mean, if you look at it from a long-term standpoint, and again, you can look at the numbers. There's all kinds of calculators that are out there that'll show you, yeah, am I better to rent right now, or am I better to buy a home? And that's going to show you based on the current interest rate right now and what rental rates are. So you do a comparison, and sometimes that comparison may fold out that, I can rent maybe in a better area, maybe a better home for say 1,500, 2,000 than what I can if I was paying 1,500, 2,000 in a mortgage. But long term, I think we both agree the benefits of home ownership are huge in that you're able to, create some generational wealth, if you will. You can leave that property to you know your kids, family member, whomever. You can become liquid with that. You can borrow against it. Those are things that you can't do, obviously, when you're renting a property. Because you're just paying a static amount until that rent, until that landlord decides to go up, and then you're incrementally paying more over time to just stay there. When you walk away, you don't have anything. You don't have any kind of tax deduction. You've just got all of those payments, those rent payments that you made through whatever course of time that you stayed there. So,
Yeah. So, but I would also add that I think on one level, and I think that this comes to mind for home buyer doing a home buyer class. Like
mhm,
it's one thing to say you could afford the principal, the interest, the taxes, the insurance. And then, okay, let's estimate your utility costs, right? Electric, water, your cable, or whatever form of internet you use, right? Netflix and all the other streaming apps that are now individually charged. Um, and then let's put in a buffer in that Excel spreadsheet that covers for, oh, your escrow on your taxes might go up next year. And it's a
mhm,
shortfall, right? Because of tax increases every year. Insurance
mhm,
rates have a probability of going up every year. Like
sure,
I think that some of this detail gets lost for
mhm,
people, and then that's why you see people selling after 2 to 3 years. And two to
yeah,
three years is just too short a time to sell.
mhm,
But people find themselves in trouble after 3 years. So I almost feel like there needs to be more education in conversation with your clients to talk through those issues about the market. Because, yeah, all of the things we said are good about owning properties, but if you don't have enough liquid cash that's extra above and beyond your bills, you're living house rich but life poor, and you can't do anything else.
good stuff. Well, that's all we've got for today. I
That's
uh,
all
I
we
think
got.
that's
We
all we
don't have
got. That's
more.
that's all the time that we have for today. We've got some
Are
good
you
topics
sure?
coming up. I'm positive.
Well, wait, David, if they sign up for this class,
Hmm.
we'll drop the price. We didn't have that offer. No offer.
It's free. It's free so far. So I mean, I don't know how much
Really?
we'd be paying people if we did any other incentive with it, on a free class. So
Wow. So they should come talk to us.
they should. They should.
Sign up, guys, right away.
So we're getting back to our schedule. Just some housekeeping items. We're getting back to our schedule. We're airing these podcasts every Friday at 5 o'clock. So we'll take this during the week. We'll put it out at 5 o'clock on Friday. We've got some message boards attached to it. If you have any questions or a question about real estate that you'd like answered, reach out to myself or Trevin. We'd be glad to answer that for you. Trevin, close us out.
Hey, we appreciate your time today. That's David Blair, and this is Trevin Perez. We're signing out. Have a wonderful week.
See you. See you next time.